Hello, friends. Welcome back to Saturday Evenings Posted Mostly Presents. Thank you for sitting through that silence. I'm going to need to do a couple of explanations before we get started. But before that, let's say hi to ASOC Prod Cat. Hi, Cat. And the Peanut Gallery. Hi, Peanut Gallery. And I am your host, Trevor Stewart 1308. Now, y'all may notice that like half the screen is missing. Well, not missing, but like two of the screens in the scene are not there. And that's because bad luck. So let's start with why some of this is missing and why I managed to give myself brain freeze in the shower right before show. Why I'm also not in costume, barely in makeup. There was a nasty but wonderful lightning storm 2 nights ago. In this area. Do you guys remember that?
Yes.
So, while I was sitting here doing something, lightning struck right outside my house. I mean, like, right outside my house. I thought it struck my house, but I don't see anywhere where it looks like it actually hit the house. So, when the lightning struck the house, certain things might have gotten a little fried, such as camera 1.
Oh no.
Audio input 2. My DJ inputs are fried.
Oh.
Yeah. I need another one of those Behringer boxes to do this now. To DJ. So doubtful I'll be DJing tomorrow night, huh? Unless I can figure some out. Well, no, I got something. I can do something. I'll just run it through the microphone inputs. Because, like, the Behringer box right next to it didn't get fried. Camera 2 didn't get fried. But you know what else got fried?
What?
The motherboard to my boiler.
Oh.
Uh-huh. I have no hot water. That's how I gave myself brain freeze in the freaking shower this morning.
The motherboard to your boiler, right?
Yes.
Does that make it the water board?
Ow. Ow. I never thought I could actually get hurt by waterboarding, but that one hurt. Ow. So it's been...
What I'm here for.
Huh?
I said it's what I'm here for.
Yes, it is. And you're good at it. So yeah, it's been a shucks show of a morning for me. After figuring out that I couldn't fix it. Like, I tried flipping the breaker switch. I tried a few other things. I pulled out my touchless pencil tester.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most life-savingest inventions in electrical installation work. This thing is so cool. Right?
Yeah.
Like, let's see. This should set it off. Nope, not quite enough power there. Let's see.
I'm familiar with one of those.
Why is it not? I'm frightened now.
You're trying to demonstrate it. That's why it's not.
What?
Because you're trying to demonstrate it.
That's why it's
The
not
camera-
working.
Yep.
It's gonna be one of those days.
Kinda.
You know,
everything in your life just sort of boiled over, but well,
I know. But it does sort of. It brings up a sort of a more esoteric thing for me. And that's that I thought, and I don't know what gave me this crazy idea, but I thought that I was making all my own misery. I was making all my own bad luck because I was so stuck in my traumatized mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I was starting to feel healthy, and I was starting to think about maybe wanting to actually try to celebrate my birthday if I felt like I was capable of making my birthday feel like I was celebrating me.
Mm-hmm.
And then this lightning strike happened to remind me not to do that. It's like, yeah, I know, you're getting healthy and all, but remember, you still don't get things like birthdays. You don't get things like that kind of good luck or that kind of self whatever. Like,
I'm sorry. I have to disagree.
okay.
Lightning was there to remind you that it could be worse, so celebrate what you can.
Yes.
I would say yes to that, except for last time I bought myself a cake, I think somebody died. It was either somebody died or somebody had a very grievous injury. Like,
That's just because the cake is a lie.
So we have to go something else. Ice cream is a good choice. We can get you
No,
some non-dairy
it's-
ice cream.
Well, yeah. Except I feel
A lot of-
bad about eating health food when I'm supposed to be celebrating.
Oh.
Non-dairy ice cream falls into health food for me because it is
Sherbet.
actually healthy for me. What?
Sherbet.
Keeps me from getting scurvy.
It
It's
is
health food.
sugar, water, coloring, a little bit of flavoring.
And vitamin C.
Maybe.
Well, get the cherry sherbet. Therefore, it's not vitamin C.
Oh, also, sherbet has dairy in it. Sorbet is what you're thinking.
All right, sorbet.
Which is, like sherbet if you ordered it off of Temu.
No, sorbet's good.
Sorbet is just the sad memory of ice cream and sherbet.
All right, we need to get some of the Talenti.
Oh, I've had it.
Okay, fine. We're getting you a lettuce cake. A cake of sadness.
There.
See? There we go. Now we understand how to celebrate my birthday.
But it's health food. You said you can't have health food.
No, I said I can't have health food and call it cake. And also, lettuce isn't health food. It's sadness. And a very small amount of THC.
That's why it's such sadness, because it reminds you what it should be.
Right, exactly.
We go get a cake from the people over at Kush Gang, and we get them to bake up like a Rice Krispie cake.
Oh, God. Oh, man, that would be so great. Oh, that would be amazing.
And it's not real cake, it's a Rice Krispie treat thing.
Right.
Like a cookie.
The problem is, though, where this breaks down is anything I do to celebrate myself, it seems to come with very negative repercussions for other people. it's or or my life falls apart a little bit, or a little bit more than a little bit. We got to
Mhm.
remember that, like, the water, the hot water and all of this stuff frying, it's not, it isn't the worst thing that could have happened, yes, but it is sort of this gentle reminder that, yeah, worse things can happen, so don't test luck.
Hey, look at it this way. It's a very obvious sign that things are improving. You're no longer in hot water.
Hey, Darth Dragonis.
And I'm gonna say something that may potentially make you very upset.
That's fine.
I'm gonna say it anyway.
Do it.
That particular mindset is a trauma response, and I watched it be inflicted on a friend by their partner, who that I actively watched the Downtown Mall for, because he actively sabotaged her birthday every year and made it so that having a happy day was traumatic for her.
That's fair.
And I watched her, after she left him, fight the fact that she could have a good day and not have anything fall apart, and have to point out to her, yes, it is your birthday. Yes, you had a good day. And yes, this bad thing happened, but I need you to stop and count the 7 other good things that happened today, too, and stop focusing on the one bad.
I mean, that's fair.
Hmm?
I'm gonna need the bad to stop being overwhelming. And,
Yes.
and I mean that not in like a. I mean that very much in a sort of like, it is piling on. In and around
Yes.
this time of year, it just starts to pile on. And it's not even this time of year. This is, like I said, this is in my imagination. I admit this is in my imagination. This is a trauma response. And I would like to just stop it, Darth Dragonis, but I can't. Like,
No, you can't.
part
But part of it
of it
definitely
is part of it is because early on, for for years and decades, people came into my birthdays and were like, nah, dog, nah. And like, my earliest birthdays caused so much social tension,
Mm-hmm.
and people would come up to me outside of whatever, whenever I was far enough away from my parental adults.
Mm-hmm.
Other hippies would come up to me and say, "Oh, well, this day isn't just about you."
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I remember that my birthday being celebrated. It's also someone else's birthday who was on the farm, and their
Mm-hmm.
celebration took precedence over mine. And
Mm-hmm.
people were at my own birthday party. People were asking me if I was there to celebrate somebody else's birthday. And it's like, okay, I guess I am. When I started trying to think about that day as mine, the adult hippies would be like, no, it was about other people.
That's just because they couldn't stand the thought of someone being more important than them. That's not you.
Nope.
Not your fault. Just
No.
because someone else was being a total shitwit does not mean you cannot enjoy
But
your birthday.
the problem is, these circuits started getting etched very young. And over the past 40 years, only a small handful of times have other circuits been etched. All the rest of it, it's just been deepening that negativity. And Yes, you're right. You're right, Brock. If I don't do anything, nothing will change. Um, use a surge protector on those circuits.
Yeah.
I had everything plugged into a freaking power conditioner and it still fried it. And it didn't fry the power conditioner. But
That feels weird.
yeah, it does. It's really freaking what the walk. Well, no. No. Actually, no. That's plugged into the power conditioner too.
Uh-huh.
Power conditioner?
Yeah. It keeps the output at a steady 15 amps. There's no, you know,
Did you remember to rinse twice before you use the power conditioner?
Very funny. No, that's why it's power conditioners, because you don't have to rinse twice.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So for me to unprogram this negative programming, I have to find a way to exist in these spaces, in these time spaces, without bad things happening, or without me. I need to find some way out of the trauma to begin to heal the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's like with everything else. That's what I realized. Like, I did that massive crash out and started dealing with my family issues, and all of a sudden I'm not in the traumatic situation anymore, and I can start dealing with the trauma. Granted, I'm putting a bit of that off because I know that that's going to be deep sag, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't need deep sag just yet. I'd like to make it out of summer before I just like curl up into a ball and cry through the fall.
Mm-hmm.
But so I need to find a way to do things that celebrate me without it feeling like something is going wrong as well. And it's very hard to do that, one, because my entire year is usually actually filled with tragedy, and I only really notice it in the summer because I'm looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna make it hard for any time I want to celebrate myself to not feel like I'm setting up for tragedy, even though I know tragedy's coming. And the other part of that is, it's hard for me to feel like I deserve a celebration, especially if I'm the one making it happen. It's hard for me to feel like I deserve it when tragedy is happening. And when I'm not used to being celebrated. And I'm used to being told that pride is such a negative thing that if I celebrate myself, I am being overly prideful and too into myself and narcissistic.
Mm-hmm.
I am fighting off a really complex set of baggage here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, yeah.
It could be worse. I know someone who was born on the 11th of September, 2001.
So do I.
Oh, gosh. Man.
Try celebrating that birthday without getting yelled at.
Right?
Oh, I
Oh,
don't
God.
think one of them.
I don't think so.
Oh, yuck. I feel so much empathy with that person right now. Oh, my heart goes
Mhm.
out to them. And nobody deserved that. And nobody deserved that.
No.
No.
One of the kids that I taught had the same birthday.
So let me do the ad read real quick. Now that
Yes.
we've discussed why things are a little off schedule and out of kilter.
Yeah, I know. That sentence hurts.
What?
You read your ad read.
People have celebrated my birthday, but only. No, that's not true. Little Bear tried really hard to celebrate my birthday. She tried really hard to set things up to celebrate my birthday. Unfortunately, we were in a time when other people were also actively trying to ruin my birthday. It's not that no one's ever celebrated my birthday, it's that I've never felt celebrated on my birthday. And I know that's not fair to Brock or to Little Bear, because I know they've both tried really hard to make me feel that way. I don't want to, I want to make sure that I acknowledge reality while still giving validation to my feelings. The feeling like I have never been celebrated is a valid feeling, because it's a feeling and because it's based in a large measure of reality, my perspective of reality. Yeah. I know that I still don't feel like my birthday is about me. Which is a large part of why I don't want to. Why I don't like telling people when it is, why I don't like people celebrating it. A lot of times when people have tried to celebrate my birthday, it's been about them trying to do something they feel they should be doing. And again, I don't mean that about Brock or about Little Bear. I mean that more recently.
Mhm.
You know, when I started telling people, no, I don't want to celebrate my birthday, and they started being like, oh, come on, let me celebrate your birthday. You should do it for me. I like to celebrate birthdays. I like birthdays. Why don't you like birthdays?
Mhm.
So I should have a party on my birthday so that you get to have a party
Yeah.
because it's a
I
party
like
day.
garlic. Why don't you like garlic?
Right. Right. And again, not talking about Brock and Kelly. They have both tried very hard. And in fact, one of the first birthdays after the divorce, the birthday during the divorce, the birthday around the divorce was really, really, really bad. And that was a confluence of a lot of things and not fault. Gonna have to edit that out.
Yes, you are.
Not Little Bear's fault. What's the time signature? 3240 something.
Yeah.
You know,
Basically, if you start at 32 and go up to 50, you'll get it.
yeah, like, but again, and the next year where Brock tried to where Brock tried to make things good, it wasn't Brock's fault that all the other people around me were like, nah, we're going to screw tonight up for him.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Brock's fault that my little sister slut-shamed another friend of mine into leaving my party.
Yeesh.
Right. I don't talk to my little sister anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not like no contact with her, but I'm like, you know, what you did was pretty messed up. And she's since apologized to that friend. And they're, you know, things are good, but I'm it just felt it felt like the level of disrespectful to my day, to my birthday, when I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to rebuild my self situation, that it really just kind of undermined it. It actually sabotaged. I don't know if she meant to sabotage, but she sabotaged, and the sabotage happened, and it just sort of was like, never mind. I'm not gonna keep trying if this is gonna be how this goes every year.
All those damn wooden shoes.
Clogged.
Mm-hmm.
You
No,
know?
I'm going with Bridgeford. Sabotage.
Yes.
Sabo. Nice. Well done. Well
Where it
played.
comes from.
Well played. Today's ad read. The pre-rolls are brought to you by The Hidden Leaf, downtown Charlottesville on the downtown mall, 105 West Main Street, above the Brick, Suite 200, between the Green Cauldron and Hamilton's. A great place to go with some great buds to get some great buds. A bud, and the only thing better than their bud is their customer service. They also have the lowest prices in town, according to my own personally highly biased research, by which I mean I was incredibly high when I did my biased research. Don't forget to check the website for times and events. The website is thehiddenleafcville.com. That's thehiddenleafcville.com. Let's try that again. A quick note of disclosure. We will be talking about some political stuff today near the end of the show. We will be expressing political opinions. Those opinions belong to us, not any of our sponsors, including Hidden Leaf, The Kush Gang, purveyor of fine edibles and drinkables, and Firehouse Craft Farm. I believe that's the ad read.
So.
So yeah, now that we got that out of the way. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. That's why it's been a crap show of a day. That's why I'm not in costume and I'm barely in makeup and my hair's still wet from the shower.
Well, fortunately, it is officially summer in Virginia, so you could technically take several lengths of garden hose, fill it up, and let it sit in the yard so you can have a warm shower later.
Yeah, a warm hose down.
It is not fun, but it is doable.
I don't know. I kind of enjoy it. Like, but
It's good until the cold water hits when you were not expecting it, and then it's a case of,
whoa, that's cold.
Not
That's actually, I don't mind that part. That's a lot of fun. It's like jumping into ice water after getting out of a sauna.
yeah.
I do like the heart rate spike. What I don't like is getting that heart rate spike in the shower without having gotten exceptionally warm first.
Hmm.
When that happened this morning, I was like, oh gosh, dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we are I've got calls in. Somebody's gonna come out here and fix it. I don't know who, don't know when. Well, all right, that's the opening segment. Let's talk. Now that we've talked about being depressed, let's talk about cheese.
The antidepressant.
Yes.
Exactly. I I mean, I did hear the joke about the you ever see somebody sad eating pizza. I had heard that joke, but I had been operating off of this. Like, I'm pretty sure there is some sort of antidepressant in cheese, in dairy. Because when I'm feeling down and I have a chunk of cheese, I feel a bit better. And it was something I noticed when I quit drinking. Yeah, my sugar intake went up a little bit. My dairy intake skyrocketed. I mean, granted, going from eating no dairy to a piece of cheese is technically dairy intake skyrocketing. But
Yes.
it was more than that. I mean, it was like,
You can't help that you got a gas out of it.
Oh.
no, I can't. Oh, it occurs to me that on Thursday nights, Peanut Gallery, you don't necessarily see or hear me laughing. You have no idea how much you're cracking me up on Thursday nights. I assume when the other person in the group isn't laughing or I can't hear them laughing, I just assume that they're not laughing. Kat, I can usually hear you laughing, but the fourth player, I just assume they're not laughing because they are not a laughing kind of person at all.
I think we should refer to him as FP because the initials apply to both fourth player and what he does most often while we are talking, face palming.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see the face palm happening, especially when we derail things and go off on a tangent.
Man, I'm not sure we're the right gaming group for him. I think we're a little too distractible for him.
Yes, but on the other hand, I think that he uses us as test cases for other situations.
Maybe, but I don't know that I like that.
I don't know if it means that he's able to help someone else out with something because he saw us just go bonkers on this one thing. I feel like that's
Yeah,
neighborly of us.
yeah, it is. I think I'd like to know that's what's happening. I'd like to.
My
Maybe
question
what
is,
I'm hoping for is a monicum of humility from the guy.
mm,
He shows empathy, he shows caring, he shows these other basic, decent human traits. But there's no. I lost the word. I said it at the like right before in the last
Humility.
humility. Yes. There's no humility there. There's no, you know, I've noticed that when he's not dungeon mastering, when he's playing, he plays his character like that would be the only way to ever play that character. I've noticed
It makes sense.
I've noticed that
That is how it is.
huh?
So that makes sense because for him, that is how it is.
But that misses a fundamental truth about human nature, about people nature, and that is that we are fundamentally more than one thing, more than one way. Like, that's why acting is an art form, not a science. Because you have this range of things, the ways that a person could react, and the actor's choice on how to do that says a lot. It shows what that actor is trying to say about that character.
True.
Whereas if it were a science, every character would have only one way that they would react to any given situation.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm really not seeing a reason to be mad at a scientist for playing things like they're a scientist and not taking on the roles of an actor when they're not an actor.
I have no problem with that too. Problem is, he's a sociologist. He's not a scientist. Soft science, and it's the soft science of human brain, human emotion.
Okay.
He's not playing like a sociologist. He's not playing like somebody who has studied humanity. He's playing like a mathematician or a chemist. Not even a chemist, because chemists know that things don't always go. Theoretical chemist, a mathematician. He's playing. His brain works that way, and I know it does. I get that. And I'm not mad at him exactly for it. It's just not comfortable for me. Especially because when I don't play my character like he thinks I ought to, I notice him get irritated with me. Especially when it's in his game. When I play my character like I think my character should be played, I see him get irritated. And so it's sort of like, okay, it's fine to play your character like a scientist, but don't tell me I'm doing it wrong.
That's fair.
And that's where a lot of this stuff with him comes in, is, again, it's the lack of humility to be able to see that someone else's way may be viable as well. So that's kind of the thing there for me.
I can see what you are saying. I'm not sure I entirely agree with it. It's something I would have to think on, but I can see what you're saying.
Yeah. And this comes from years of knowing him. And watching him and seeing, and his dynamic with me may be different than his dynamic with other people. He may have stopped acting like this with everybody else, But because our dynamic was developed and set so long ago, he may just be continuing with that dynamic. And that dynamic was, a long time ago, that dynamic was set up as he was my teacher, I was his student.
Fair
But,
enough.
and not in a scholastic sense either. This was more of a life sense.
Mhm.
So that dynamic, he may just not really be able to get away from that dynamic. With me specifically.
That
Which
is
to
a
me
possibility.
says that I should have a bit more room for him, you know.
Hmm.
But also, again, don't tell me how to play my character. You know?
So we kind
Sorry.
of glanced over the cheese thing.
We did, and we're about to go back to it. That's what that last pause was me remembering where we were and what we were doing. So, let's switch over to this. You know what? Let me do.
Oh, got more.
Hey, there we go. So we've got the brain science behind comfort foods, but this looks like a pretty long one.
Oh yeah.
Did you have a chance to scan it?
Not as much as I wanted to.
Mm.
It was definitely a case of I'm going to bed now.
Was there anything there that you wanted to touch on? Or can we just skip to the National Library of Medicine? Food components to enhance performance. An evaluation of potential performance enhancing food components for operational rations. Wow.
That one just sounds kind of cheesy.
The effects of nutrients on neurotransmitter release. This is the one that was it this one or the other one that gave us the names of the chemicals in the cheese that caused the dopamine release?
I think it was the other one. This one is more of the first article that you pulled up is more of it's more of a layman's. This is why this is okay versus this is what's in it that makes it okay.
Okay.
But from the first article, the one thing that I would point out, um, is that they specifically say that you may be wondering at this point if eating comfort foods is harmful for our health. If a comfort food simply brings a smile, happy feelings, good memories, or positive emotions, it is a healthy experience.
I like that. I like that. On the other
They
hand,
do.
unfortunately,
It,
most of my comfort foods include dairy, which mean that it's also painful.
yes. They follow that up with the admonition to, be aware of your mental state and gauge whether you are just treating. Oh no.
If you enjoy painful foods, that means you're masochistic.
Oh, I love it. That's going to be the basis of tomorrow's joke.
Okay.
Help me
You're
remember
welcome.
that one. Today's joke is going to be about the world trampolinist, the world
Oh.
champion trampolinist in the 80s, the guy who was from Czechoslovakia,
Mm-hmm.
and how it created a banking crisis because check kept bouncing.
Oh no. Yes. The other thing.
Masochistic.
Oh
Sorry.
God. The other thing from the article that I'm going to point out, because I've got a real life experience with it,
Mm.
is they're talking about end of life nutrition.
End of life nutrition.
Yep. Um,
Oh God. You know what I'm used to for end of life nutrition?
what?
Uh Pumpkin pie. Whipped pumpkin pie.
Mm-hmm.
A chocolate ice cream with cheer wine poured into it.
Okay.
By the end of my grandmother's life, that's pretty much all she was eating.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was, partially because she just didn't have the mental capacity to make anything else. And Lil Bear was making the pumpkin pie for her.
Right.
There might have been something else too that I'm forgetting about. But
Mm.
it was it was pretty much just comfort food. Um,
Yeah.
which is
Um,
which is to me, I mean, seriously, end of life nutrition shouldn't be
is
about
an
nutrients.
oxymoron.
Huh?
End of life nutrition is an oxymoron.
Sorta.
Um,
Also though, we have to remember that my take on nutrition and death is
mm,
kind of skewed because two family members this last year went that way.
mm,
At the same time, too, which was kind of messed up.
ooh,
Zoe, my my friend from England, who is also basically family member, had cancer,
mm,
and at the end, she quit treatment and she just wasn't hungry, and it was like she was gonna go anyway. Food was not gonna make it any easier. The other one was an uncle who was extremely manic depressive. His manics were really dangerously manic. His depressions were dangerously depressed. And he was in the middle ground and decided to stop eating. He was in the middle, in the healthy spot, decided
mm,
to decided to stop living, and
mm,
decided that not eating was the best way to do it.
mm,
I again really disagree with that choice.
mm,
Not the stopping living. I get that. But I was at the same time I was watching a friend go through this, another family member go through this, and it was torturous for her.
mm,
I mean, yeah, she may not have been hungry, may not have wanted to eat, but it wasn't fun. It didn't feel good. It felt awful.
mm,
Um, I'm
yeah.
afraid of that. So while I'm watching this other family member choose to do this, sort of like, why are you doing the longest, hardest thing? Why are you choosing to do this in the way that is going to make those around you suffer the most? Why are you choosing to do this in a way that feels like a cry for attention?
Mm.
Like, and what a cry for attention that would be. Not saying it was, just saying, That cry for attention is like, all right, guys, I'm dying. Pay attention to me. There's something in there to be thought about. Not sure what exactly, but
Mm,
there's something in there. So,
that's fair.
um,
That's fair. Oh, uh,
I mean, and that's, these are the things that come to mind when I think of end of life nutrition. Now,
mhm,
the comment from the peanut gallery that terrifies me. You
yes.
know who's a true expert on end of life nutrition? No. Who?
Cannibals.
What? Cannibals.
Cannibal.
I figured that's where that was going. I am saddened that that's where that was going, but I figured it was where it was going.
At least you're not sad and surprised. You're just sad.
I think part of the sadness is that it wasn't a surprise.
Kind of. What it says the article makes a point of um, unless it is a food that inherently is going to injure somebody, i.e., someone
Banana
is
pudding and
demanding,
me.
huh?
Banana pudding and me.
More like demanding a rare steak and they absolutely have no esophagus left to swallow it with. But yeah, the banana pudding in you.
I mean,
There's legitimately no reason not to give someone something that they are asking for if they are willing to eat it.
yeah.
Um,
I
and
I mean, I imagine you can do something about maybe they can't swallow the rare steak, but that doesn't mean that they can't put it in their mouth and taste it,
exactly,
you know?
exactly.
If they don't
Um,
have an esophagus, they're not eating anything. It
no,
doesn't
they're not.
it's not at that point it's not comfort food, it's food.
Yeah. Um, but this reading that brought to mind specifically my grandfather, who, when he passed from heart attack and stroke together.
Oh
He'd
god.
had the stroke first and was in the hospital with it. And he was getting better.
Huh. He was getting better.
He was getting better and he was getting back to being his cantankerous, feisty self
Mhm.
and was refusing hospital food. He did not want that. He wanted his food. He wanted real food.
Right.
He did not want the hospital stuff.
Right.
And so you picture this woman in there with her 3 kids, one of them a brand new, not even walking yet baby,
Mm.
trying to ride herd on this grumpy old man to make him eat his food. And the doctor pulled her aside one day and said, I don't care what you bring in here if you can get him to eat. If you can get him to eat, he can go home.
Right. He doesn't have
The
to
only
eat
thing that you
this. He just has to eat something.
the only thing that you cannot bring in here for him are women and liquor and cigars.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't care as long as he eats.
Technically, you can sneak the liquor in without the doctor even knowing.
Yeah, but
The
he
women and
wanted to grab.
cigars would be a little bit harder.
Yeah. Um. So we went home and we made a chocolate pudding pie. And that's what my brother made.
Mm.
Brought it back and fed it to him, and he was looking at it very, very cross-eyed and grumpy. And Mom told him, "Look, it's either eat this or we're coming back tomorrow with what she wants to make, which is pistachio. He ate the chocolate pie.
Why didn't he want chocolate pie?
Because what he wanted, among other things, were out.
Okay.
He didn't want us to bring him anything. He just wanted to be let go to go get it himself.
Okay, well that makes sense. And that also makes sense that why when you put it like, okay, eat this delicious thing or you're going to end up staying here. He went, "Oh,
Yeah.
I'll eat the delicious thing."
Yeah.
Chocolate
Yeah,
pie
so-
or imprisonment?
Basically,
I
it
think
was he
cake?
got chocolate
Oh,
pie.
I'm sorry. We're all out of cake. We only have death left.
Yeah. There was chocolate pie the first day, and then I got to make a pistachio pudding pie the next day, and we brought that in,
Okay.
which he frowned at because he thought he wasn't going to be faced with green pie. I am little at this. I'm not double digits yet at this point.
Right.
So, and we snuck him in. I say snuck. We technically had permission, but we didn't want to make anybody else on the floor upset with us for bringing in
Right.
stuff that they weren't supposed to be having. So I remember we snuck him in like a couple of burgers from Ralph's and things like that, and eventually he was at the point where the doctor's like, "Fine, he's eating. He can go home."
Right. That's good. That's good.
But that he was definitely up there. He was definitely at a point where he was in his 80s. He'd been through several other major medical issues in the past. And the doctor finally was like, no, as long as he's eating food, I don't care. You just can't.
Right? And it would have been a shame. It really would have been a shame for, the stroke to have put him in the hospital so he can't have anything he wants, and then the heart attack takes him out and he doesn't get a last chance to enjoy food.
Right. And traveling on down in time with the whole, they may just want to taste it. That was my mother.
Yeah. It's kind of what it is for me and things like banana pudding or ice cream or it's not that I actually, need to swallow it. I just the flavors.
You have lactose-free ice cream?
Lactose free?
Yeah.
I haven't even messed with it. If lactose free milk doesn't do anything, like still hurts, why would lactose free ice cream not hurt?
I don't know. Maybe some sort of molecular change with the freezing and the boiling?
I'm allergic to dairy. I'm not lactose intolerant.
I could still hope.
It's nothing that's going to make it. There are things you can do that make it less so, such as culturing it. A yogurt and cheese seems to sit a bit better on my stomach than milk and ice cream. But it really is
So we need to take the ice cream to a Shakespeare show before you can eat it.
Yes.
Apparently. No, it really is like the allergy is more about the proteins than the sugars.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really deprotein dairy. I mean, you can, but then it's water. It's not even like, skim milk level water.
Yeah.
It's like just water. That's deproteined.
I mean, yeah.
Because even the sugars in milk are connected to proteins.
Yeah, no,
the
you're right.
carbohydrates are, And that's one of the things about milk, about dairy, that makes it unique and so good at what it does. It's because the carbohydrates and the proteins and the fats are all connected and stay connected.
Mm.
Um,
Let's see. If you're allergic to milk, that means that you're far less likely to turn into somebody like that raving lunatic queen from a gazillion years ago.
I'm gonna need a little bit more, than that. There are a lot
The
of raving
one,
lunatic queens from a gazillion years ago.
the one that effectively helped solidify some of the vampire mythology
Oh,
that we
oh,
have.
oh, her name begins with a C.
Yeah,
It's not Carmen, but it's
no,
like
Carmilla?
that. Carmela. Yes, her.
yeah. Bathing in milk and other things that were unwillingly given.
I can bathe in milk. I can put milk on my skin and wash it off. It's not a topical reaction.
Just go with yes, yes, I'm not going to turn into a raving vampire queen.
Turn
Well, that is unless it's
into
on
one?
Halloween.
That's different.
I think we're a little late for the turn into one.
Raving, as in homicidal raving lunatic. You are not there.
Well, that depends
Again,
on the
I
type of
think we're a
party.
little late for that. Just because I handle all of my rage and raving in a relatively safe and healthy way doesn't mean that I'm not a raging, raving lunatic.
Hmm. I'm going back to my happy fantasy where you can't turn into one, thank you.
And I mean, we know I'm a queen.
Yeah, that's why I had specific things, identifiers. What's the word that I want for that?
Modifiers.
Identifiers. Thank
Qualifiers,
you.
yeah.
In front of the word.
Just saying. Okay, so, second article.
Yeah, which is actually,
What I'm looking
oh my
for
god.
is the name of the chemicals. By the way,
Yes,
I really want to read this whole
you should.
tryptophan hydroxylase. That's a fun word.
Um,
Increase in brain levels
is,
of serotonin's metabolite 5-hydroxyl acetic acid, suggesting that serotonin release also had been enhanced. Direct evidence that psychological variations in brain tryptophan. That's tryptophan. Haha, that's what that looks like. Tryptophan concentration affects serotonin release. Did we find out? Do we remember? We found out, but do we remember what the name of the chemical in dairy is? It's
I am looking.
something something lactase. I think. Hold on. The fact that the administration
Isomorphin.
casomorphin. That is the chemical in the cheese that makes you less depressed. Casomorphin.
Isomorphin.
It's morphin time.
You're not wrong.
That's cheesy.
It's casomorphin and tyramine.
Tyramine. Casomorphin and tyramine are the ones in there. Okay. Okay, so
Casomorphin triggers dopamine production, and tyramine is an amino acid that is a precursor and helps add. Basically, it's the booster for the dopamine.
okay, not slick, Trev. So there we go. That's that. Those are the chemicals in the cheese that make you happy when you eat the cheese.
And this is the article that you're looking at. It is not. It is an extensive.
Yes, it looks more like a chemistry article, neurochemistry
Well, I
article.
mean,
Well, it is a
if,
neurochemistry article.
if you go up to the top and go for contents to get the whole contents of the article,
Yeah.
it has over 23 sections plus appendices,
Okay.
and it covers a lot of stuff, and it makes sense why someone would have been reading this one, given some of the other given who this was originally intended for.
Who was this originally intended for? Neurochemistry students?
The title of the article, well,
Oh
the
no,
word,
no! This is for the armed services.
uh-huh,
Operational rations.
uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay, so okay though, which I do want to I do want to stop and talk about this one paragraph that I like stopped on and saw and was like, huh, that's
Okay.
the fact that administration of pure tryptophan could increase brain serotonin synthesis, thereby affecting various serotonin dependent brain functions, e.g., sleepiness and mood, has been known since at least 1968. What was novel and perhaps surprising about the above findings was their demonstration that brain tryptophan levels and serotonin synthesis normally undergo important variations in response. For example, to the decision to eat a carbohydrate rich as as opposed to a protein rich breakfast in response to the administration of a very low dose of tryptophan. You can control what somebody chooses for breakfast with tryptophan. I mean, control may be overstating it, but
Influence.
strongly influence seems to be what they're saying. And we know
Mm-hmm.
what tryptophan is, right?
Turkey.
What'd you call me?
An Eastern European country.
Sandwich filling.
Yes. Sandwich
Baked. We
filling
called you
is
baked
uh
or
but
roasted.
yes, turkey is where you get tryptophans, the main place I know of getting tryptophan. Not pure tryptophans, but so by eating turkey at night, you're more likely to choose to eat bread in the morning.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna add a anecdotal caveat observation. If you are someone that has substituted turkey for a number of your other animal proteins, that's going to change how you react to the tryptophan over time.
Yeah, because you'll have built up a tolerance to it. You'll through regular exposure, it'll stop working as well.
Which then means that the effect of, you had this the night before, so you want the other thing in the morning, also changes over time.
Right.
And it ends up a case of if you don't have it, you swing wildly in directions because of
that. Because the brain wants to balance out neurotransmitter levels.
Yep.
It wants to go back to whatever it's used to.
Between 2004, October of 2004, and the summer of 2019, the school that I worked at and ran and did things, the cook in charge served predominantly chicken or turkey whenever a meat was used. Turkey bacon, ground turkey for burgers.
That's not healthy. It's
ground
just
turkey for sausage.
Just not healthy. It is not good to only eat poultry. It is not like it does. You are lacking so many proteins if you're just eating poultry.
You are. But the argument that was made, and the reason she did those things, is because she was trying to do the lower fat, healthy option. And she was coming from when food science said that was an okay thing. From a time when food science said you can't feed kids bacon because bacon is bad for you, period. You can't feed pork. Pork is bad, period. You shouldn't feed eggs. Eggs and butter are bad, period.
See, this
I
is
remember,
the thing. I never
90s.
believed that crap.
No,
there was no point at which I was not pushing back against the concept of a diet, of a standardized diet. The ideas of this is good for you, this is bad for you. There was no point at which I was like, that's... Nah. Now, I do know that certain things are actually pretty bad for you, like high fructose corn syrup. Sugar itself, not that bad. Not great.
Very addictive.
Very addictive. Not great. Carbohydrates should come with a high level of fiber, but it's fine. But I knew that things like the fats in meat, not bad. And the meats, it's like, how are you engaging with them? How are you eating them? Are you engaging with them in a way that gets you all of the nutrients that you need from them? Or are you deep frying them and adding super large amounts of salt and a large amount of dairy and and
no.
I will say
low fat, low salt, everything.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And yeah. I really do think that the tendency towards anemia would be a lot less if people would engage with intentionally eating the proper amounts of proteins.
Or at the very, very least.
Right. Hold on. Let me get through this. Vegans have it right. Vegetarians have it right. They are very intentional with their engagement with their proteins. I can't do that because I can't draw my proteins from vegetables. It seems like incapable. But a good vegan, a good vegetarian is very careful and very intentional about putting their proteins together so they get all their proteins. you know? And that is doing it right. When I engage with getting the right proteins, I'm eating bloody steak because that's the easiest way for me to get all the proteins I need. And it's the only way for me to get them without then trying to take a handful of supplements.
Mm-hmm.
It's also just about all I need to do to actually not be anemic is just eat red meat. Eat bloody red meat. And I'll actually be fine. Now, being aware that any fat that is solid at room temperature contains a large amount of bad cholesterol. And this is a part of conscientiously engaging with your food. You being aware that that's what's going on. That's why you want your carbohydrates to come with a large amount of fiber.
Mm-hmm.
You need to scrub all of that bad cholesterol out. Also, you should be eating fish or something, something with the good cholesterol. Avocados. They're a good cholesterol alternative to fish.
Walnut.
Right?
Walnuts, almonds.
These nuts.
Uh-huh. What I was going to say for the anemia is for those that are dead set on just not eating and having that good relationship with proteins, at least cook your stuff in a cast iron skillet.
I mean, yes.
It will not
Thing
do
about
all.
anemia is it's not just iron. It's
True.
also protein. And yeah, cooking in a cast iron skillet or pot is great. And I actually believe we should all be doing that way more often and just getting a lot of good iron in our systems. But it doesn't replace the lack of protein.
No, it doesn't, but at least it starts getting you used to thinking about cooking in a way that is not
Right. Engaging with it conscientiously.
yeah.
This has been, man, okay, so talk about something that's been a strange journey for me and not necessarily emotionally difficult is learning how to engage with food.
Right.
You know, I from a very young age, from that year that they fed me pancakes and molasses, I realized that food wasn't just about wasn't just about shutting up the funny feeling in my gut, in my stomach, saying, and it wasn't just about the joy of eating, the flavor and the pleasure it was also about maintaining the machine of the body. It took me another 15, maybe 20, 15 years. Yeah, it took me another maybe 15 years after that to realize that that viewing food primarily as a way of fueling the machine, and secondarily as something, as one of life's joys, changed how I felt about my body and how my body felt. And that was sort of a switch to oh God, what is it? Eating, intuitive eating. That was when I switched to intuitive eating. Which it really did mean that I was eating a lot more red meat, a lot less vegetables, and only eating for joy occasionally. And when I do eat for joy, I'm very intentionally doing it. I know what I'm doing. Which is why I was so aware that I was eating so much cheese after I'd quit drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And where I started getting to this sort of the idea that, oh gosh, queso. What was the word again?
Which word? Because we've used a bunch.
The queso, the queso something that the antidepressant.
Isomorphin?
Quesomorphin. Yeah, the quesomorphin. That's where I started. That's when I started being like, huh.
I am hearing both of us saying the words, and I am. By the time we're done with this show, we're going to be calling it quesomorphine.
I mean, I am this close to being that, to saying quesomorphine. I've been saying quesomorphin.
That's it's written. All right, casein, casin, is the first part of the word.
Oh, it's caseinmorphin, not
Yeah.
queso. Casein.
No. But we are both. We might as well just give up on the correct pronunciation and go with casomorphine because it's
Casomorphine.
cheese drug.
Caseinmorphin. Caseinmorphin. Okay.
Yes.
Well, hi, Code. Great to see you, buddy. Here's the thing. I think we know why you love cheese. Code just popped in with queso. I love cheese.
Yeah.
You queso, you brado. Ow. We figured out why people love cheese. There's a set of chemicals in the cheese that make you happy. And one of them is caseinmorphin. Or as we're going to start calling it, casomorphine. Crap. I just realized that's the second type
Yeah.
of
You can't
morphine
use
I'm
too much
addicted to.
Oh.
I'm addicted to regular morphine, and I'm also addicted to casomorphine.
Is cheese your cousin?
Ooh.
Creamier. Okay, let's give Code this shout out real quick. I was trying to get to that, and we
Yeah. No, we're done.
I haven't seen Lockpick in the channel, so why are you talking about cream?
Get him.
Oh man. Master Asta was DJing last night. Speaking of Lockpick, my future ex-husband-in-law has started DJing, and that is right exciting.
Yay.
Yeah. Oh God, really? I'm sorry, Code. Code Inc. says, I was just being stupid. I don't like cheese that much. I'm more of a game person than a food. Maybe I should fix that. Maybe, but maybe not, man. We get our dopamine blasts how we get them. Casomorphin, tyramine. Tyramine is the other one. Casomorphine,
Uh-huh.
casomorphin, and tyramine. You know, whatever gives you your dopamine hit, that's what you do, and that's cool. It's probably better to be happy with who you are than trying to pick up new hobbies that you think will make you more of who you're supposed to be. Says the guy who has picked up almost all of the new hobbies trying to figure out who he's supposed to be. I prioritize gaming more than eating is what I'm trying to say. And it's a really bad thing. I need to stop it. I mean, well, here's the thing,
Just make eating a game, then you can get both done at the same time.
right? Gamify eating, for one. But also, remember that at its most basic level, food is just there to run the machine, man. It's all it's doing is running the machine. It does not have to be, uh, okay, that's what, yeah, food doesn't have to be a goal in and of itself.
No.
Just keeping the machine running can be enough of a goal. You know?
Mm.
Now, along with that, realize that it is very hard to have a clear head capable of quick thinking if you have not given the machine everything it needs to run on. And if you have not kept the machine in relatively good condition. Ah! Oh. Somebody was knocking at my door. That's why food, exercise, and a good solid dose of emotional support are important for anybody who pursues and has an intellectual pursuit. You know, I think of myself as an intellectual pursuit kind of person. And when I realized that I could be better at intellectual pursuits if I kept my body operating well, you know. And part of that is, for me, not eating a lot. Eating once a day. You know, maybe twice a day if I'm feeling really hungry, but eating once a day keeps my body running in a way that works well. Intermittent fasting keeps my body running in a way that works well for it. That keeps me sharp. Yeah. And part of managing to only eat once a day, or, you know, keeping my intake down. And it's crazy because it's not about number of calories. It's literally about how often I eat.
Mm.
Part of controlling that, instead of letting other things control that, is prioritizing other things above food. Putting other things above food. Being aware that I have to put food in at some point to keep the body going so that, the other priorities can be taken care of. I try to only approach food as a joy when I actively want it to be a reward. The problem with you and intellectual pursuit is that you still haven't let it catch up to you. Ouch.
Okay, you're forgiven for the earlier one, dear. That's good. I take back beating you earlier.
You haven't let it
I love
catch
you
up
both.
to you.
That's a good one.
I had a moment a while back. I had a moment of self-description in my head, and that self-description is, yeah, fame's been chasing him his entire life. Too bad it never caught up with him. So that hit a little close to home.
You thought it too loudly.
Right. Intellectual pursuit is that I still haven't let it catch. I think that is a very generous and kind way of looking at my intellect. And there's a reason why most of my descriptions of myself are like, I'm just an idiot trying to do something. The problem with ADHD. What do you mean problems? There are no problems with ADHD. I do have ADHD, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a problem with ADD. It's always everybody else has a problem with my, shiny squirrel.
Yep.
It's that other people have a problem with ADHD. It's not the people who have it that have a problem with it. All right. I did want to read this paragraph real quick. It's about to be chemistry again. So buckle up for some full frontal nerdity.
While you're nerding, I'm going to go make more tea because I need it for this. So you read and enjoy, and I will come back to the nerding in a minute.
All right. It remained possible, however, that mechanisms external to the serotonin-releasing neuron might exist. These mechanisms kept such food-induced increases in serotonin synthesis from causing parallel changes in the amounts released into synapses. Indeed, it was known that if rats were given very large doses of tryptophan that were sufficient to raise brain tryptophan levels well beyond their normal range, the firing frequencies of their serotonin-releasing Rafe neurons decreased markedly. This was interpreted as reflecting the operation of a feedback system designed to keep serotonin release within a psychological range. Similar decreases in range firing had also been observed in animals given drugs such as monoamine oxidase, MAO inhibitors, MAOIs, or serotonin reuptake blockers, which cause persistent increases in intrasynaptic serotonin levels. Indeed, the administration of serotonin uptake inhibitors, such as fluoxetine, can cause a prolonged inhibition of serotonin release. Gardier and Wortman, 1991. However, when rats were given small doses of tryptophan that were sufficient to raise brain tryptophan levels, but not beyond their normal peaks, or when they consumed a carbohydrate-rich meal, which raised brain tryptophan levels psychologically, no amount of serotonin release per firing without slowing the neuron's firing sequences, thus allowing modulation of the next output of information from serotonergic neurons. I.e., if you don't eat too much turkey on a regular basis, your serotonin keeps working.
So you read that, and there was a word that you said that I had to pull up the article and look at the word, make sure it wasn't exactly what I heard.
What was it?
The wraith neurons. I heard wraith neurons, and it's like undead brains. What?
What? No! Although I wouldn't put it past people to make wraith neurons a thing. Quiet neurons that fire off in the background very quietly and are barely there and are quiet. Or maybe, you know, brain damaged neurons are wraith neurons. I did have to, as I was saying it, I was like, oh, am I saying wraith or wraith? Kodig. I have no issues with my, shiny squirrels, shiny object that can grab my attention easily. Exactly, Code. You get it. So if that person in charge of the food had mostly been doing chicken and not turkey, and only doing a bit of turkey, then the serotonin levels would have stayed about appropriate.
Mm.
You know, the bit about the monoamine oxidase inhibitors and the serotonin reuptake blockers, and I wonder if that's for the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors too. The MAOIs and the SRBs, and I think the SSRIs, you know, that explains why what we're doing currently to treat depression isn't working. That explains why we have a lot of medication-resistant depression. It's not super depression like a super bug. It's that we're using the wrong medications. We're using the medications incorrectly. We're using an emergency inhaler as a long-term treatment for asthma, instead of treating the initial problems.
Mm-hmm.
We're using what should be a short-term solution in an emergency situation to continue to apply it to the problem, and thereby creating the exact problem that we're trying to medicate.
You say super depression, and unfortunately, my brain just goes somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Super depression, Batman.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Yes! It's Superman, Wonder Woman, and Super Depression Man, better known as Batman. Na 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 na. Really sad. Oh, that hurts. That's In fact, it feels like it's broadcasting in AM because it mega hurts. I don't feel good about that joke, you know.
Oh.
You should try harder. That way it just gigahertz.
I'm not sure which I'm laughing about more in the moment. Gigahertz or code saying whenever I hear super anything, my brain instantly goes to God bless Super Earth. Helldivers 2 has reprogrammed my brain. You know, you're not the only one. I've never played Helldivers 2. I've only watched people play it. And I'm right there with you. I get it.
I mean, Starship Troopers, the video game?
It really does sort of feel like it, though, doesn't it? Without the. Well, I don't know. But I was going to say, without the problematic gender politics. But I haven't seen any problematic gender politics in Helldivers 2, so.
I also haven't seen any female Helldivers.
Ha 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 ha.
I didn't know I could tell. I thought they were all looked pretty much the same in that suit.
Yeah. And the suit has a relatively masculine chest plate.
Are
Just
we
like it
saying
seems
that?
there
Are
are-
we saying that because we expect a video game to give us boob armor as an analog to female chest plate? Because I'd like to
There's a bit of
point
that.
out
There's
that
also
hmm,
there's a
there's
bit of
also
that, and there's also basic um there don't seem to be any sort of gender identifiers, and considering the way most voices in there have a heavy masculine tint.
yeah, that would do it. That would do it. If you don't get that bot factory, I'll hit you with the up right down 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 500k bomb stratagem code. It's funny and in game. Please don't hurt. Please don't hurt me, Twitch.
The ultimate stratagem is obviously up, up, down, down, left, right, VA, select, start.
Right. No, no. Wait, is that also the Konami code?
That is the Konami code.
Okay, then that's the ultimate stratagem. Did they use the Konami code for Super Mario Brothers?
When did they use that in Super Mario Brothers?
Beginning screen. When you start up, you can use the. I don't know if it's the Konami code. It might be left, right, up, or left, right, up, down, BA select start. Yeah, that's the Konami code. Maybe it was that you had to hit both A and B at the same time, or select and start at the same time. But there was some code at the beginning of Mario Brothers. Hi, Just Me Crystal, love you. Mwah. Great to see you. But yeah, there was something there at the beginning of Mario Brothers, and I can't remember what it was. Too bad Darth Dragonis bounced out. He was the one who'd know those things.
I was completely unaware of the Mario Brothers code. I just know the Konami code.
Yes.
Also, IDKFA.
IDKFA.
Doom God Mode.
Oh. I do
No, actually,
kill.
that's IDQD.
What?
That's
What?
IDDQD. IDKFA is um, weapons and ammo.
IDKFA. What? Do you remember the ones for Wolfenstein?
I think they were honestly the same thing because they're made by the same company.
Okay, that would make sense. There was also in Wolfenstein exe. It was I think it was Wolfenstein.exe/goobers, where you could open it in goobers mode, and there were a whole bunch of cheat codes that you could put in,
Mhm.
and it was like, yeah, but I barely remember them.
No,
There was a true
it's not.
God mode. There was a true infinite ammo mode.
It's not that it actually meant this, but there was a very easy way to remember the God mode for Doom,
God mode,
IDDQD,
IDDQD,
which is I don't die quick deaths,
and the ammo is I do kill effing everything.
but it's an A, not an E.
Oh, I do kill effing all.
Mhm.
Code says, "Aren't you playing Jackbox? Why do you have time to tab into here?" And that's because she's lurking, and just like I'm lurking over in her stream where she's playing Jackbox. Uh, all right,
Well, this has all been very educational.
Yes,
it has
well,
been. It has been. Um, I guess that is the segue to the next thing. And that is the University of Virginia president resigning under pressure from the Trump administration. And I've got two articles on this.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun,
Huh.
dun, 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 dun.
Ba 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 bip.
Hmm?
Do data. Do data. People. People on the street.
Uh-huh.
Ba 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 bip.
I have no idea what you're going with.
That's that's under pressure, dude. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Ba 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 bip. Do they da. Do they da. That's that's
That's the gibberish that he spouts
yeah.
before the song starts.
Yep.
Okay.
And throughout the song.
Yes.
There's a technical word for it that isn't gibberish. I know there is. Vocalizations.
Horse cat.
I really hate using that word for that.
Because of scientific notation.
Yeah. And I just don't do scat. I do vocalizations, rhythmic, polyphonic vocalizations quite happily. And in fact, ones that aren't beatboxing. But I don't do scat. I have my boundaries.
And suddenly it occurs to me that that game is a lot more twisted than I ever thought it was.
What game?
Categories.
Oh, God. Okay, so scatagorical and scatological are two different things. But it just doesn't feel like they are when you say them out loud. It just feels like I'm saying something else, and it's just not entirely comfortable with it. He's not the scat man. Actually, and that's the problem, like, I kind of am. Like, one of the songs that I love to sing the most is Minnie the Moocher by oh, the name is all of a sudden gone, and I can picture him in Blues Brothers. I can picture him when he was young.
Is it
And
Louis Armstrong?
huh? The Scat Man.
Yeah.
But I can't get to the name.
You say Scatman, all I can think of is Scatman Crothers.
Who was based on, or is that a character?
Cab Calloway.
Cab Calloway. Thank you. Cheese and crackers. Smokey Joe. Smokey Joe was a response song written to Minnie the Moocher by Cab Calloway's friend and singing partner. And I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I also haven't engaged with her name near as much as I've engaged with his name. But so yeah, like I am very sort of Scatman, you know, Cab the Scatman Calloway, but I'm also not a Scatman. Nah, man. I'm not gonna yuck anybody else's yum, but man, I ain't there. Oh, yeah, I know. Code Ink says, one song I hate that turned into a bad meme is the Cotton Eye Joe, because no one knows the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Do you mean no one knows the history of it? Or no one knows how the song itself, like, starts? I remember when that, that EDM, that sort of techno remix first hit, and it was just the funniest thing I think I'd ever heard for about 5 minutes. No, the beginning of the song. I know I've heard the song all the way through multiple times. I just don't remember how it starts. Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, just gibberish. Okay. Today's pre-rolls provided by The Hidden Leaf, downtown Charlottesville, Virginia, 105 West Main Street on the downtown mall, above the Brick, Suite 200, between the Green Cauldron and Hamilton's. Great place to go with some great buds to get some great buds. A bud, and the only thing better than their bud is their customer service. Also, they have the lowest prices in town, according to my own personally highly biased research, by which I mean I was incredibly high at the time of doing my research. Don't forget to check the website for times and events. The website is thehiddenleafcville.com. That's thehiddenleafcville.com. And we are about to get into the political segment of today's show. So I would like to say that all of the politics you hear herein don't necessarily represent the politics of any of our sponsors, including, but not limited to, The Hidden Leaf, the Kush Gang, purveyors of fine edibles and drinkables, and Firehouse. Now, I'm not saying that their politics are necessarily different than ours. I'm saying that they are businesses, so they don't exactly have politics. And I believe we are ready to move on.
Okay.
I felt the need to, as we move on to talking about the University of Virginia president resigning after coming under
Pressure, yes, that.
Sorry to disrail that.
Huh?
I said sorry to disrail that.
No. It was a good thing. It was the right thing to do. It gave me time to get another pre-roll ready, so that I could do the ad read again. So I could do the disclosure again. You did the right
Mm-hmm.
thing. I feel like my stutter is worse today than it's been in a while. All right, so
It's just my teeth chattering from the cold shower.
I took a cold shower and I found out that my teeth were talkative. They wouldn't stop chattering. The Justice Department had demanded that James E. Ryan step down in order to help resolve a civil rights investigation into the school. Whoa, say what now?
Mm-hmm.
By Michael Schmidt and Michael Bender. Michael S. Schmidt and Michael C. Bender. Schmidt and Bender or the Michaels?
The Michaels.
I don't know. I kind of like Schmidt and Bender.
Yeah, but that sounds
You
a little
Schmidt
bit too
and
much like
Bender. You Schmidt and Broader.
what is what is that stupid cartoon?
Which stupid cartoon? There's a lot of it.
The
You're gonna have
one
to
the
be a
one
little more specific.
the one that what's his name? Fry.
Futurama.
Thank you. Yeah. Go with the Michaels because the other one is a little bit too Futurama.
I love Futurama. And I like
Okay.
Bender. Also, the Michaels sounds way more like a Futurama name. Or like, you know.
I don't think that with one of the people actually being named Bender, I can agree with that.
I think Schmidt and Bender was the name of a law firm in Futurama.
That I would believe.
Because wasn't there an episode where Bender at some point pretended to be a lawyer for a little while?
I have no clue. All I know about the show is what I have seen in passing through various game shows that have asked questions about it and what I cannot avoid on the internet.
You know, it is actually really good.
If you're going to refer to them as Schmidt and Bender, then you have to add one more.
Schmidt, Bender,
one
and
more thing to
Flush?
that. Schmidt and Bender over.
And their partner, Ben Dune. I really hope that Schmidt and Bender don't mind that we are going off on their names like this.
They wrote a political article about UVA.
We're
I
probably
think
being
you're
nicer
probably
than
the
anybody
strongest.
else. All right. The Trump administration on Friday secured perhaps the most significant victory in its pressure campaign on higher education, forming the resignation of University of Virginia's president, James E. Ryan, over the college's diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. The extraordinary wielding of federal power to oust the 58-year-old college professor showed the unusual lengths the administration would go to pursue President Trump's political agenda and shift the ideological tilt of academia, which he views as hostile to conservatives. Mr. Ryan's resignation also presents new challenges for other colleges negotiating with the government, including Harvard, whose officials have been repeatedly attacked by Mr. Trump. Ooh. I noticed they left out president there. And his
Yep.
allies. Hey. I gotta give him props for doing it. While the administration has stripped billions of dollars from universities in pursuit of Trump's policy goals, Mr. Ryan's departure marks the first time a university has been coerced into removing its leader. The reaction to Mr. Ryan's resignation was immediate and emotional on the University of Virginia campus in Charlottesville. Faculty leadership held an emergency meeting to adopt a resolution opposing the change, and hundreds of students and faculty members gathered for an impromptu march to Carr's Hill, the college president's residence.
Hmm.
I don't think they meant for that to have that alliterative, that pleasant alliterative bounce. But
Mm-hmm.
president's residence is a lot of fun to say. Evidence, the evidence of the president's residence is even more fun. Mr. Ryan emerged from the residence after a few minutes of the crowd chanting, "We want Jim" and "Death to Tyrants," a rough version of the state motto. I would say rough conversion of the state motto, "Sic Semper Tyrannis." Uh, thus,
You got to leave the con
always.
out of that because he's in the White House.
Huh?
You have to leave the con out of that statement because he's sitting in the White House.
Oh, yeah, the con is in the White House. You're right. Sic Semper Tyrannosaurus Rex. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your support, Mr. Ryan told the crowd. And regardless of my role, I will continue to do whatever I can to support this place and continue to make it the best place it can be. And I would ask that you all do the same. Mr. Ryan informed the board overseeing the school that he would resign after the demands by Trump administration that he step aside to help resolve a Justice Department inquiry into the school's DEI efforts, according to 3 people briefed on the matter. The New York Times reported Thursday evening that the Justice Department had demanded Ryan's resignation as a condition to settle civil rights investigations into the school's diversity practices. A letter sent on Thursday to the head of the board overseeing the university, Mr. Ryan said that he had planned to step down to the end of the next academic year, but given circumstances in today's conversations, he wrote, he had decided with deep sadness to tender his resignation now, according to one of the people familiar with the matter who was briefed on the letter's contents. Mr. Ryan's exact departure date was unclear. He said in his letter that his resignation could be effective immediately, but no later than August 15th, 2025, according to the person briefed on the letter. A spokesperson for the university did not respond to a message seeking comment. People briefed on Mr. Ryan's resignation spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the matter publicly. Harmeet K. Dillon, who has overseen the investigation as Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, said in a statement that she welcomed leadership changes that signal institutional commitment to our nation's venerable federal civil rights laws. When the university's leaders lack commitment to ending illegal discrimination in hiring, admissions, and student benefits, they expose the institutions they lead to legal and financial peril, Miss Dillon said. The Justice Department had targeted the University of Virginia for at least the past month, but 10 days ago, government lawyers tasked with enforcing federal laws issued a stern warning to the board overseeing the University of Virginia that the school needed to act quickly. The department informed the college of multiple complaints of race-based treatment on campus and the government's conclusion that the use of race in admissions and other student benefits were whispered practices throughout every component and facet of the institution. So Ms. Dillon is complaining that black students are getting, not just black students, but not white students, really, but black students, really. That's really what bothers her, is the black students, because from her perspective, they're the only ones who don't really deserve to be there. I don't think I like her, by the way.
Mm.
When she says these things, what she's saying is, when they practice DEI, when they practice affirmative action, when they practice giving spots to BIPOC people or BIPOC individuals because of, and this is the part that doesn't want to think about, but those positions for BIPOC individuals are there because of the excellence that those people have shown. It's a talented 10% problem, but she has a problem with it because they're not white. Code Ink, what do you think about water being wet? Joke, by the way, don't take this seriously. Is water wet? Or is water normal and everything else is wet? If you all get a chance, please watch Indie Cross episode 1 and 2. They're such bangers and animated really well by Morrow. I highly recommend it at some point. Okay. One of my friends spammed some numbers and symbols in a quotes channel, and we think he fell asleep on his keyboard. Or that he had a stroke. I hope it's the former. But it is a little funny. It could also be a cat or something running across the keyboard, which is incredibly hilarious, too. I really, for a brief moment, thought that Miss Dillon was saying that, because there's some there are some problems with UVA's DEI and affirmative action and admissions policies. They're not perfect, you know?
Well,
There
currently
are
the
there are
whole
a lot.
situation, because they still those affirmative action and DEI initiatives, as imperfect as you may think they are
Right,
still in effect. So therefore, that's the problem.
right. See, I thought she was talking from the other side, saying, "Well, they're not perfect, so we should do something better." But no, she's going, "They exist at all, so we're going to punish them."
Mm-hmm.
This bothers me. Obviously, it bothers me. That is a possibility. He does own one or two or three cats, one of which is a rescue named Stormy, rescued from a storm. Aww. But he does have cats, so that is possible. Either that or he's just doing it to get you guys guessing. All right. Time is running short. The department's patience is wearing thin. The letter dated June 17th said the letter was signed by Miss Dylan Gregory W. Brown, the Deputy Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights. Both are for civil rights or against civil rights? Why did they say for? These these deputy assistant attorney generals against civil rights. Both are graduates of the university. Mr. Brown, as a private lawyer, had previously sued his alma mater, and Miss Dillon overlapped with Mr. Ryan during their time as students at the University of Virginia School of Law. Man, the law school were just a bunch of. My opinion of the law school at UVA is highly influenced by my opinion of the business school at UVA. Mainly by the opinion of the business school at UVA's or my opinion is reflective of the opinion of the business school about the law school. And it's not great. Some member of the school's board had pushed for Mr. Ryan's ouster, fearing that if the university failed to comply with the Justice Department's demands, the Trump administration would follow through on its threat to strip the school of hundreds of millions of dollars in federal funding. It's a public school. He cannot do that. Or if he does, if you push the confrontation to the point where he does something that he's really not supposed to do, like he's been doing this whole time, he loses more support. His most powerful base gets more rabid, which drives off everybody else. The university received at least 355 million in federal research grants in 2023, according to data compiled by the New York Times. Board members have also expressed concerns that under Mr. Ryan, the school had not properly dismantled the school's diversity initiatives despite a 2023 Supreme Court decision doing away with affirmative action and Mr. Trump's executive order aimed at eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Gross. In recent days, members of the board appointed by Governor Glenn Youngkin, a Republican, had talked to senior Justice Department officials to learn what could be done to resolve the situation, and were told Mr. Ryan had to go. In response to those discussions, members of the board had been anxious to demonstrate to the Trump administration that Mr. Ryan would indeed step aside, according to one of the people familiar with the matter. What a bunch of spineless, gutless, yellow-bellied, lily-livered... I have other words. I have such random songs stuck in my head. I had one earlier. Now I have Gas, Gas, Gas stuck in my head.
Uh-huh.
I was sitting in the diner on the corner, waiting for the man behind the. And now it's stuck in your head.
I really like the cover that the uh, Giant Rooks and A&K did of that.
I'm sure it was good. I love the original Beyond explanation. All right. In an email sent to alumni on Friday afternoon, confirming that he had resigned, Mr. Ryan said that he was inclined to fight for what he believed in, but that he could not make a unilateral decision to fight the federal government in order to save my own job. I
That I can
respect that.
understand.
I can see making a unilateral decision to fight the federal government because it's the right thing to do. Because you want to set the tone for the university, Mr. President. Yeah, I know you don't want to be unilateral. You don't want to do what Trump is doing. But also, you should set the tone. Maybe you don't unilaterally not resign. Maybe you go to the university, to the students, to the parents, and to the students and to the administration and say, I don't want to do this because I don't want to give in to a bully. And then have it out all the way with the whole school. Those who want you to leave to save money, to save the school getting money, have to say that in front of those who do not want that. Have to say that in front of the people who are directly being affected by this rolling over. By this display of submission. The students are the ones who are really going to be affected by this. That's why the students came to your house and were like, don't do this. It's no longer making a unilateral decision. If all of the clients of the business, or a majority of the clients of the business, come to the business and say, hey, don't do this, it's not a unilateral decision on the part of the business to not do it. However, now he's making a unilateral decision to not stand up for what's right. And I know it sounds like I'm angry at him, and I probably am a little angry at him for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to say he should be called out for making this decision. But he should be called out for making this decision. It was the wrong decision. Not only was it the wrong decision, it was the wrong way to do it. And he had an opportunity to undo it and do it right. You know, if the board is going to oust him, then they have to do it in front of the students and the faculty. They don't want to do that because they don't want to lose face for being like, oh, we've given up on our DEI now. And all of a sudden, a lot of students who were there because of that are like, oh, F you, bounce out. They want it both ways. They can't have it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it sounds like I'm victim blaming here. And I don't want to victim blame. Because this is not this dude's, it is this dude's decision, and he made a decision unilaterally, and that's the part that I'm having a hard time getting over. I'm trying to say, it's not this dude's fault. He's not the one who has put the school in this position. This is Trump's fault. This is the trumpeteers, the Trumpeisters, the trumpet up your butts fault. They're the ones who are doing this to the universities. So to say that Mr. Ryan is doing the wrong thing is sort of blaming the victim here. And I shouldn't do that. On the other hand, he is a person in a place of power. He is there because people believed that he had the moral fortitude, the ethical fiber to do, frothing at the mouth a little, to do the right thing in the face of adversity. That's why they put him there. So he should be held up to the standard of doing the right thing in the face of adversity. Now let's see how he thinks it looks. Just to save my own job. To do so would not only be quixotic, but appear selfish and self-centered to the hundreds of employees who would lose their jobs, and the researchers who would lose their funding, and hundreds of students who could lose financial aid or have their visas withheld, he wrote. All of these things are going to happen anyway. You know that thing where you do the thing with the kidnappers and they're like, yeah, we won't kill the hostage if you do the thing. We won't kill the kidnapped, and then you do the thing. And next thing you know, you open up the fridge and your girlfriend is in there. Dead in the fridge, like fridged.
For what we're told by most people, we do not negotiate with terrorists.
You know why we don't?
Because we don't negotiate. They don't follow through.
Because they'll kill you anyway. Now, most terrorists actually can be negotiated with. Most of the people we're fighting these wars with, all they want to do is talk about it. All of these terrorists, all they really want to do is talk about it, feel heard, feel like they're not being pushed off of their land or being told that they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Being afraid of getting bombed into the last century just because they're not. Just because. You don't negotiate with a bully because the bully doesn't care. The bully will shoot you anyway. I promise I won't beat the crap out of you if you give me your shoes and money. Oh, I didn't beat the crap out of you. The shoes that were in my hands beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Man. And that's what it is. You negotiate with a bully, you're just giving a bully another chance to be a bully. You think they're going to
Mm-hmm.
stop with Mr. Ryan? I'm sure he wouldn't have stopped with Mr. Ryan anyway, but if you don't stand up and make it harder, then it won't be harder. I'm not. I really do feel bad about coming at Mr. Ryan like this about this, but also, nah, nah. You're gonna be in that position. You grow a spine of steel, homie. Don't be in that position in the first place if you ain't got the spine of steel to do it. You stay out of it.
My
Because if you don't stay out of it, you put the rest of us in trouble.
my question is, what are we not hearing? As has been pointed out, this has been going on and been something that's been pushed on for a bit.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's been going on for a while. Like,
Okay, what are we not hearing? Like, what could they be threatening that would make me feel like he's not doing the wrong thing? They
well,
could
that's the
be
thing.
they could be threatening him. They could be threatening his family. They could literally be threatening. They could be threatening the literal life and well-being and health of his family, of his loved ones, even friends and loved ones. Not him. If they're threatening his life, nah, don't stand down. Don't. If they're threatening him directly, don't stand down at all. If they're threatening the people around him, I take it all back. But if they're threatening the people around him, if it's not financial or social ruin, if the threat has to be physical, imminent, real. Otherwise, you're letting a bully you. And you're
Mm-hmm.
letting a bully your family. Now, if what's not being said is that all of this pressure is being put on members of the board, okay, fine. Stand up to the members of the board. Make them fire you in front of the students, in front of your supporters, the people who are trying to have an equal and diverse and inclusive education.
Mm-hmm.
Make the board do that in front of them. Because the board, no matter what, is more interested in money. And they're going to need more than whatever pittance of federal funding and national whatevers. They're going to need a lot more than that, whatever that is, to stay afloat if they lose their students. You know, if they lose the students, they stop being a school and become a think tank. In the chat, Code Ink is just
Yep.
being delightful. Really,
Yes.
is what they're doing. They're just being delightful. So I'm over here slamming my hand and frothing at the mouth, and I look down, read a little bit, chuckle to myself because it's just delightful. There's nothing cruel, nothing mean, nothing. It's a reminder that I am, yeah, it's hit a nerve. It's hit a nerve. I'm tired of being apologistic for people who don't have the guts to stand up. But it's also a little unnecessary. In memes, if I wish to see the image, I will check it out. Yep. They're floating. That was pretty neat. Thank you, Code. Uh, the University of Virginia has been considered among the top 5 public universities for more than 2 decades, according to U.S. News and World Report rankings, and has maintained that position during Mr. Ryan's tenure. This year, the Princeton Review ranked the university as the second best value among all public colleges. It should be at least third. PVCC is a much better value per learned lesson, dollar to learned lesson value than UVA.
For the student.
I mean, okay. Fair enough. Last year, Time Magazine ranked the college as the 4th best public school at producing future leaders. As compared to the, I mean, I'm not sure that's so good looking at the leaders we've gotten.
Ranked on the party list.
Right? Mr. Ryan, I saw Mr. University, then Mr. Universe. Mr. Ryan, the university's 9th president, has held that post since 2018 and was unanimously approved for another contract in 2022. During his 7 years in the job, Mr. Ryan developed a reputation as a champion of diversity. He encouraged community service and helped drive an increase in the number of first-generation students. That is all great. But it's easy to be a champion of diversity, equity, and inclusion if you're doing it when it's easy. He summed up his philosophy as one aimed at making the university both great and good, describing his goal of striving for academic excellence in a manner that would benefit society, but that rankled conservative alumni and some Republican board members who accused him of imposing his own ethics and values on college students.
You mean the Republican board members that Youngkin recently foisted off into the university after dismissing others?
Yep. Also, it's really hard to impose any form of ethics and morals on college students. I don't know if you've hung around them, but ethics and morals, especially UVA students, not what they're known for.
Well, they're better at it than the White House currently.
Not by much. I mean, haven't we discussed why uva, being Spanish for grape, really fits a bunch of UVA students? Bunch of uvas?
Mm-hmm. It's been a bit, but yes, we have talked about that.
I mean, I swear there is more grape juice there than at Welch's. So much grape juice there that I've gotten some of the grape juice. Talk about confusing. I'm wondering if I got away with that on YouTube. But I'm because I don't have the blue check mark on YouTube, they no longer seem to, or they don't seem to care really what I say.
Let's see.
Okay, so, a correction was made in an earlier version of oh, okay. Ann Brown, a co-chairwoman of the advisory council of Wahoo's for UVA, a group of students, alumni, faculty, and staff committed to a viewpoint diversity and UVA's independence from political interference, said that after the Times report on Thursday, there had been a surge in support for Mr. Ryan. She said Mr. Ryan's removal would be extremely damaging to the university. Yes, it would. But this also isn't about one man, Ms. Brown, who graduated from the university in 1974 and its law school in 1977, said in a text message, "It would be a symbolic surrender of the university's autonomy and commitment to free inquiry that, if allowed to stand by the Board of Visitors and Virginia's elected officials, would send a chilling message that public universities in Virginia serve political agendas, not the Commonwealth." Mother Tucker! Jackson Landers contributed reporting. How is that Mother Tucker all up in my space? Man, that makes me wish we'd read this AP article instead. I can't imagine there's a whole lot difference in this article. On the other hand, I guess it's important to know where Jackson Landers pops up. It's good to know where he pops up. You know,
who?
My nemesis. And I hate that he's my nemesis because he's not worth it. He is not worth the amount of space that he takes up in my head. Whereas I fully believe that I am worth every cent of space I take up in his head. I'm pretty sure I take up a pretty decent corner of the back of his mind, much like he takes up too much of mine. So at least there's that. But this, he's done things. He's made major life decisions just to get under my skin. Which is really kind of sad. Considering the kind of major life decisions he's made just to get under my skin and hurt me. It's really sad. And not sad and, oh man, that's like a veteran living on the street sad. No, sad in a Andrew Tate is a sad little man kind of way. If I'm important enough in your life to do anything out of spite, like, you got the wrong dude. I ain't worth doing anything to out of spite. I am not worth it. Nope. There are a few people who I could look at and go, they have good reason to dislike me. But I feel like anything they did to me would be out of valid reason to dislike me.
Mm.
But doing stuff out of spite, man, nah. Spite of me, nah. I ain't. I ain't like that, yo. Um. Jackson Landers is the new owner of Deadless Books. And as much as I'd like to see him fail, I actually hope it does well. I don't want to see A, the institution die. B, and that's why he's doing it. He is doing it, I mean, partially because he wants to be cool, but partially because he doesn't want to see the institution of Deadless Books die, and I respect that. UVA is ranked 33rd nationally for party schools, but first for Virginia. Dude, where's ODU on the national ranking?
Oh.
And how is ODU not first for Virginia?
I thought Radford would be first.
Right? Well, Radford would be first, but they're currently in a beer pong game for first with ODU.
Let's see, what do they have?
So yeah, I do hope that I hope that he succeeds and that Deadless Books does well.
ODU is ranked 20th for Virginia. Let's see. Wait. ODU is ranked 132 for Party School in America.
The fubble duck is going on?
But 6th for Virginia.
Well, gosh. Man, UVA really picked up its game since the 90s. It's like, nah, we're being outdone. We can't let these guys do the nah, man. Where's VCU on the list?
I'm getting there. Hang on. Let's see. What to do? Let's see. $169 nationwide. Ninth for Virginia.
Wow.
VCU.
I do believe that though on VCU that they just and they sort of pulled themselves up a little. Started taking themselves a little more seriously after the renovations. Well, all right. It is just about that time. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Peanut Gallery. Thank you, Code Inc. Thank you, Just Me Crystal. Anybody else? Darth Dragonis, thank you. Yes, thank you everybody for being here. Much love to all you lurkers. Thank you everybody for hanging out. Stick around for the raid. I believe we are going to be raiding out to... I believe we're gonna raid out to Geisterwelt Knights. Oops, wrong one. Wrong button. So yeah, stick around for the raid, and now is the time on the show when I say, as they say around here, much love, Crystal, as they say around here, 2 up, 2 down, VA, double deuces, we're out, y'all.